What's going on, everyone? Fearless Football Forecast here with 5 rookies that are going to be deep sleepers in your dynasty drafts. A lot of these guys are going to be going in the 3rd round or later of your rookie drafts, so you're not going to see some common sleepers in this video, so stay tuned. It's going to be a great one. Now, before you do that, I just want to remind everyone that we are also starting our podcast this week, as well as doing a mock draft, so make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Now, the first rookie we're going to talk about is actually not in our top 5, and the reason for that is because I consider him a possible first-round pick. It is Roschon Johnson. Now, I'm just going to talk about him a little bit before we get into the deep sleepers. He runs like a freight train. He's got great upper body strength to outmuscle most tackles. He's got good acceleration to get to the second level. He actually had 45% missed tackle rate, which is the best in college during his entire time, even better than the first-round pick, Bijan Robinson, and probably the number 101 overall in your dynasty rookie drafts. Only Khalil Herbert is his real obstacle in becoming a starter. I absolutely love Johnson, but we're not going to consider him one of our deep sleepers because he's going in most second rounds. Now, you're here to tell us about the number 1 guy.
All right, so the first guy I want to talk to you guys about today is Chase Brown, running back for the Bengals. Out of Illinois, smaller school, but this is why I like him. Athleticism. You look at his athleticism, he's high 80s to anywhere throughout the 90s in each rank, speed, score, burst, all that kind of stuff. He is extremely athletic, and athleticism matters in sports. The second thing that I want to say is his college production. He has 93% college dominator, which basically aggregates the amount of yards and touchdowns you account for on your offense. Obviously, smaller school, you want to see high numbers. And another thing I love about him is his pass catching ability. 66th percentile target share. He had roughly 8% of targets in college, which is a decent number for a running back at such a small school. I think that if anything happens to Joe Mixon, obviously huge opportunity. But what I like is with that pass catching ability, P. Ryan's gone. He could fill in as that RB2 role and get some decent touches.
Yeah, I think that he's definitely going to be a guy to provide some value, like you said, without P. Ron there. The number 2 guy that we're going to talk about is KAYSHON Boutte, the wide receiver for the New England Patriots. Now, it's crazy because a couple years ago, he was originally projected to be a first rounder. He had 735 yards and 5 touchdowns in his rookie season. In 2021, he increased his touchdown numbers. Yardage went down to about 500, but he did have 9 touchdowns. The main reason that he fell in this draft was a little bit of less production in his junior year. There was an injury and there were some maturity concerns, but right now he's under the Patriots regime, so that should be voided. Overall, as a player, he's really dynamic. He's a versatile weapon with true slot build. He possesses great playmaking ability and has good ball skills. The main thing that I really like about Boutte, and I think that the Patriots need this a lot on the red zone offense that hasn't really been able to convert in recent years, he wins a lot of 50-50 balls, and he shows really impressive body control in the red zone. I think that as far as fit goes, for a receiver that went in the 6th round, you can't get any better than the New England Patriots for him. He's a really tough player, smart kid, and Greg Cosell from ESPN even compared him to Stephon Diggs, who went in the 5th round, and he was saying that he has a lot of upside. As far as fantasy goes, don't expect much from him this year. That's why I'm not talking about this for redraft. I'm talking about it for dynasty, but I do think that the Patriots will be very bad this year and next year get one of the top quarterbacks. So I expect great things from Boutte in the future.
Yeah, I absolutely love Boutte. Like you said, he was a phenomenal producer as a freshman in college, which is something that's really important. Translates pretty well into the NFL. All right, so we're going to jump into our 3rd guy here, and this is going to be Michael Wilson, the receiver for the Cardinals. Now, my favorite thing about him is, I'm going to be honest, his situation. You look at the receivers, obviously Hollywood is the number 1. He'll be on the outside. I like Rondale Moore, I do, but he's going to be more of the slot receiver. I don't think Greg Dortch is really anything in the NFL. I think that Michael Wilson has a very good shot at taking over the second outside receiver role. when you look at prospects, the one thing you want to do is not everyone's going to be great in college. It's just not how it works. But what you want to do is you want to be able to rationalize a reason why they weren't great. Last year he was injured, so last year was kind of a wash for him. His first couple years he wasn't good either, but he's been on a terrible offense. He doesn't have gaudy numbers. I think he was somewhere in the 600 receiving yards for college. But for Stanford, that's actually really good because Stanford as a college offense hasn't been anything since Christian McCaffrey. I also like that, they're going to have a horrible offense this year, and you would assume they're going to be down a lot in games, and they're going to be passing away. And if Wilson wins that number 2 job, he's going to have good targets for you.
Yeah, I like Wilson as well. I don't necessarily think that he will take the 2 over Rondale Moore, but even as the 3 in a high-powered offense with a great quarterback in Kyler Murray, I definitely see a lot of value coming from Michael Wilson. Next up, we have one of the players on my team, Luke Schoonmaker. Now, I can be honest that I wasn't necessarily too happy that the Cowboys missed out by 1 pick on Dalton Kincaid. However, we did use our second rounder on Schoonmaker, which really shows that we have a lot of faith in him and that they must have liked a lot of him at his pro day because, we could have addressed other needs at that spot. And it was a real surprise this year when we released Dalton Schultz because of his connection with Dak Prescott, but it showed that we had a lot of other tight ends in mind. Dak really loves tight ends, even when there hasn't been an elite level player at that position. I remember his rookie year, he even used Gavin Escobar a good bit. Obviously was great with Witten, good with Jarwin, good with Dalton Schultz. And Schoonmaker's in this position where he's really going to have to become the number 1 tight end immediately. So I don't even think he's that bad of a pick in redraft leagues, but to get him in the 4th or 5th round right now, he went in our rookie draft in the 4th round. I think that's an absolute steal for a guy who a lot of the other tight ends that are going ahead of him probably won't see the field close to as much as him. Although he's not that great in pass protection, he is a great run blocker. So he should be on the field often, and he's got really good speed. He's very fast for the position, and that's only going to help in play action scenarios, which Prescott is the most efficient. Also, final thing I'll say is he has very few drops in catch and traffic scenarios. We're going to need that a lot in the red zone. I personally like his long-term outlook. You don't draft a tight end in the 2nd round if you're not going to intend to use him, and it's on a team and a franchise that's historically had great tight ends. I'm very excited actually to see what Schoonmaker can do every day. My excitement for him goes up more.
Yeah, I actually completely agree with you. Good athlete, like you said, good run blocker, so he's going to be on the field a lot. And, Dak loves a nice little outlet pass to a tight end. He was decently productive at Michigan. I think that he's going to be a solid contributor in the NFL. And that's going to bring us to the 5th player that we are talking about today. Same position, ZACK, tight end, went to the New York Jets. The first thing, like I was saying earlier, you have to rationalize a reason why the college production might not have been so great. He had his first 2 seasons. He was sitting behind Pat Freiermuth at Penn State, which I love Pat Freiermuth personally. I think he's a great tight end. And then the 2020 year, which was kind of like the COVID year, weird. I don't think he played. And then 2021, he goes to Old Dominion. He ended up having 73 catches, 692 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Pretty good for an Old Dominion, Old Dominion offense. And obviously, last year he only played like 5 games. He got hurt. Another point that I really like about him, he is one of, if not the most athletic tight end to ever come out into the draft. And what we've seen over recent years, guys like George Kittle, even though they're later round guys, if a guy's athletic, there's a shot he becomes a good tight end. And my final point that I wanted to make is he landed on the Jets, which, they got Rodgers. He's not going to be there long. But I think that if somehow, he flashes in camp and Rodgers likes him, it kind of reminds me of Tunyon when Tunyon came into the league. Obviously, I think Kuntz is a better player just based off athleticism. But if he gets an opportunity, I think Rodgers will be like, wow, this guy, he can really get up there and catch, a nice back shoulder, stuff like that. So I think the athleticism and the situation that he's in really lines up well for him.
And it's been a while since the Jets have had a good tight end, honestly. I do love your point about Rodgers. I think the comp to Tanyan is actually very good. And you saw how that connection's been in the last 2 years as Rodgers has been frustrated with his wide receivers. So we'll see. I like the pick a lot. And actually, you've done your research this time. You're coming out with a guy who isn't going in any dynasty drafts, and he can be picked up on the waivers pretty much in any dynasty league. So why don't you go talk about him?
Yeah, so listen, this is just something that I like to do with every draft class. I try and see if there's a situation where there's just that little chance that someone could get some playing time. This year, that guy for me, Aiden O'Connell. Up and down in college, not consistent by any means. But for me, it kind of reminds me of a Davis Mills situation. I had Davis Mills in our dynasty league, and was he great? No, but he was a starter for 2 years, and he was a streamable option. You never know when you're going to need that random QB week. Your guy goes down, something like that. Bye weeks. I think that the main reason I like him is because he went to the Raiders, and there's no one else there. It's him, obviously Jimmy, but it's him and Jimmy. That's it. And we all found out that clause that they came out with the contract that potentially if he's not ready, they could cut him. Do I think that's going to happen? No. If it does happen, great. You get O'Connell to start the year. If it doesn't happen, Jimmy G's been hurt multiple times, both like foot injuries, ankle, foot. You never know. He could get hurt again. And if he does, you just get a free starting, a free quarterback that you can try and stream if they have a good matchup.
I love it. I actually do. I think you've convinced me now on him as well. I know you were big on Davis Mills, and it seems like the last couple of years the NFL is leaning less toward signing backup quarterbacks and more toward just having one of these late round guys. I mean, look at what happened with Purdy, with Davis Mills, and now possibly O'Connell if you're 3 for 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we will catch you all in the next video. Like we said at the beginning, make sure to subscribe, smash that like button. It'll do us a lot of favors, help spread the boys quickly. And we will see you all in the next video.